I'm curious, is the Mariana Trench a great place to put carbon sequestering because it's so far down, or would this stuff even make it all the way down? I wonder.
No, I don't know. We've never modeled it out that deep.
Never been to the Mariana Trench?
No, I've never been.
Talk to Jim Cameron. I think he's the only person who's really been there.
Yeah, I'm sure he has some stories about it too. But I think that depth is critical. You want to be deep enough that the physics come in your favor, and sort of like compressibility of the gases, and you don't want carbon or methane to be like coming back up. But there's a little bit more to it than that, where we also want to make sure that we're, at least in our model, we think that the best way to do this is to spread it out over a large area that has the appropriate biogeochemistry to like kind of encourage the formation of kind of like deep carbon deposits. So there's some specificity to where you put them, at least in the model that we're trying to kind of
Would using. Creating oyster farms also help with the sequestering problem?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's like,
is that on your plan
spend
too?
Every day. No. That's actually how we started. We're like predominantly a shellfish company, and then this kelp was always on the roadmap, but we started to pull it forward as we saw the market start to develop, where there's all these companies. So actually, what we started with is figuring out ways that we could harvest shellfish and using sensors. Like using sensors and data systems and robotics to harvest shellfish in the most efficient way possible and develop the highest quality product. The goal is to refine all of these systems so that they're scalable, and we're able to meet the enormity of the demand coming, right?
How do you fund the kelp farming and this distribution of kelp? Is this something you think governments will pay for, or you'll get carbon credits for this and then be able to sell them to the car companies who won't make EVs?
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's a bunch of different mechanisms right now. We're operating in a voluntary market where like most of these super, the progressive companies with a lot of cash are making commitments in response to consumers, and their own ethical, in the ethical guidelines of the CEOs or whatever, or management teams, but they're making commitments to be zero carbon. And, a lot of that is like buying renewable energy and like establishing renewable energy for their facilities. But a lot of it is going to have to come through negative emissions.
So somebody like Apple or Google, Amazon, who've made these commitments publicly to be carbon neutral by 2030, they're not going to get there just with solar panels. Yeah, they're going to need to give money to you. They're going to need to give you $50 million a year, $100 million a year to go ship some kelp out there and sequester some carbon.
That's right, and that's like a first. That's great that these voluntary markets exist. I'm super happy that there's that level of interest out there, and I think that as time goes on, when you look at the level of effort required, this is going to look a lot more like a world war on carbon. And so, and it's going to be, it's going to require, I think it's going to require governments to step in and to, accelerate these efforts.